that, getting hit multiple times. Coming out of that bike section, more drivers coming to blows.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Slow Motion Broadcasting. Nestled in the rolling hills of upstate New York, one of America's most legendary road courses is ready to take center stage once again. Welcome to Watkins Glen International. Known simply as the Glen, drivers charge through the sweeping S's at breathtaking speeds before diving into heavy braking zones and flowing corners that reward rhythm and punish mistakes. Every section of the circuit demands confidence, but none more so than the famous boot. The boot is a challenge all to itself. After the fast, flowing opening sector, drivers plunge downhill into a demanding sequence of corners that twist through the natural terrain of the Finger Lakes region. Elevation changes, blind apexes, constant direction changes challenge both driver and machine, creating some of the most technical and rewarding racing on the circuit. I am joined in the truck by producer Mike Braun, and in the booth, just this very second, racing inside here, the legend racing Ron Maunz. Ron, boot or no boot?
It depends on the context, really. I'm gonna say, generally speaking, I'm going to say something controversial. No boot. I do like the boot, though. It does give it a
No
little bit of
boot?
extra flair. One of my favorite combinations is the F3 at Watkins Glen with no boot. It is a fantastic combination if you want to turn an F3 car into pulp, but it's also pretty good for racing as well.
Well, this should be a fun evening for us here. We've got we're just finishing up an hour and 20-minute practice session for the SRG F4s. This is the SRG Intermediate League. They race F4s with the damage off. You can see a car that looks like it's got the damage on in the background there. Smoking crater. Yeah. Well, I guess the damage only works off if your car is not buried into a wall like poor Henry Ryback is right there. He is dead. He is, I think, unfortunately broke the game. Poor guy. Henry Ryback has experienced a great season this year. Yep, that's going to do it every single time there, Mr. Ryback. We've got just a fantastic season going forward right now. Ron, I'm looking at some of the results here, and guys like Jacob Guyton are still in the conversation in second place. Damian Dietrich pulled off 3 wins this season. Ryback is in there. And then last week we had a new winner with Brian Stasinski, who doesn't normally race this type of car.
Yeah, Brian's still getting used to downforce, a long-time Formula V weekend Warriors racer. So fascinating to see him make the leap up here this season. But it has been very competitive. Certainly Damian Dietrich, the German, has been one of the more dominating figures throughout this championship. But all in all, as the years continue to roll along here in the Sim Racers Group world, the racing gets more and more competitive. The action gets more action-packed. And in terms of the pole sitters that we've had so far this season, as we switch away from practice and head off into qualifying here, we've already had about 4 different pole sitters here this season in the form of Jason Chess, Damian Dietrich, only a multi-time pole sitter so far here this season, Christopher Yee at Road Atlanta, and Jacob Guyton last time out at Interlagos. So really been up in the air in terms of who's going to be qualifying up towards the front. So as we lick the stamp and send it off into this 15-minute long qualifying session, probably going to see that trend continue.
Yeah, I mean, really, the most consistent driver out there has been Dietrich with his 3 wins in a row in race 2, 3, and 4. But when he misses big. He has a 7th and a 5th, and that is where Jacob Guyton has picked up the pieces. Guyton has not won one yet this year, but he has a 3rd, 2 seconds, a 4th, and his lowest was a 5th, and that'll get you points. Another thing with the Sim Racers Group Intermediate League is they run some bonuses for the Hard Charger Award as well as clean driving. Very important for the league. Jason Cotcher, the captain, Tyler Hagan, assisting him there. They really promote having a safe environment for people to learn these types of cars and be able to move up into the F3s. As problematic as the F3s are a little bit here. Here are some of the championship standings. As you can see, Damian Dietrich, the German, as you said, with 99 points. And right on his heels, even though he has not won a single race, is Jacob Guyton with 90 points. Ryback, who has had a number of good races and is always kind of in the conversation at 69 points. So there's a significant gap there, Ron. And then you have Meyer and Yee and some of the very well-known names like Meyer and Novice Molina. Stasinski's a bit of a newcomer. Jason Chess came out of the gate pretty fast, but I'm not sure if he is on the board tonight. And then you have some other names. Matthew Hunter is sort of new to the game here in the F4s. I was getting back to the point about the clean racing. Ron, I think that it's fair to say that we've seen an awful lot of very good racing out of the F4. Sometimes they miss the boat a little bit and have a rough session, but usually that's a result of kind of the course itself. What do you think about that sort of format of rewarding some of the clean racing out here?
You know, I am a fan of it as a former driver myself. I can say that racing drivers need that sort of dangling gold carrot in front of their face to have some sort of incentive to keep it clean and do well. You've got to have little incentives set up, small little trail of cookies, if you would, to try and lure the drivers in to Racing Clean. And of course, this is a developmental league. Some of these drivers are still getting used to iRacing, kind of learning the ropes as time rolls along. Other drivers here in this championship, although they may be iRacing veterans, looking to learn a different kind of car. Here's Stevie Ray, series admin in the Weekend Warrior, somebody who's helped me out a ton over the years in my own broadcasting career. Really, if it wasn't for the Weekend Warriors community, I probably wouldn't be doing this, because out of all the communities I commentated to start with, most of them told me I stunk. Weekend Warriors was the first that told me that I smelled like a bed of roses. But Stevie, he's used to those SCCA style cars, the Spec Racer Ford, the Formula Ford, or the Formula V, that are a little bit slower, don't really have that downforce. You can double the amount of downforce you get in a Formula V by duct taping a Hot Wheels car to your helmet. So this is a real big change. And talking about that again for Brian Szynski, real life Formula V racer, getting used to these F4s. Many of the other drivers here in this championship still looking to impress before they make that step up there into the F3 series. One little interesting note that I do want to raise. Last week, it was made official during our broadcast of the F3s at Spa. Pretty wild race, if I do say so myself. It was announced that we're going to be making the step up to the Indy Next cars for next season there in the F3s. So the Sim Racers Group F3 Championship will really be no more. I think SRG Next is probably the name that we'll probably adopt for it. But this will be the final batch of drivers that are looking at the F3s as being that main source of encouragement to try and improve. So again, getting back to the point that I started off this little blibber blabber with about trying to keep these drivers clean, it's very good to have small little incentives like that.
Yeah, I actually race in the F3 league, and I raced in this F4 league last season. A lot of the drivers actually race in both leagues, which I find, some of the most difficult. Ooh, into the wall there. I think that was Szynski. Maybe not Szynski. It is difficult to transition between an F3 and an F4 on the fly, in a day or two, and flip back and forth every week. But some of these drivers do a very good job with it. Szynski, one of those guys, like you said, that is not really accustomed to this car, but has done very well. Stevie Ray, another guy like that. Stevie Ray is one of those ones that I think everybody roots for. Everybody likes Stevie Ray. He's just a very, very amiable guy, and unfortunately, there's been a lot of consternation with the F3 car and the problems with netcode surrounding it. It is just progressively gotten a little bit worse over time until, you have that frog in the frying pan effect where you look back and you're like, holy cow. Like, what are we doing here? How are we racing this? But the Indy NXT, as well as the IndyCar, has got it's like the favorite student, I would say, at this point. You're just getting all the bonuses. IndyCar and iRacing have a relationship going forward, and you can really tell in the car. It behaves beautifully. It's modern. It's got the rain tires. It's a 2026 virtual race car. And unfortunately, the F3 is sort of falling farther and farther behind. And so it'll be a real interesting challenge for SRG. My hat is off to the managers of the league, both Mr. Cotcher, the captain, and Mr. Hagen, as well as like the support staff of people like Stephen Case. They were willing to not bury their heads in the sand, and they said, what can we do to make this a better experience? SRG is actually a brick and mortar place in San Jose, California. They run sim racing rigs out there, and this league is something that people from there's an excellent picture of it right there. That is an actual facility in San Jose, and you can rent time, you can join the league, you can show up. There are people that drive over to this facility every single week just to race. They get their hour of practice beforehand. They of course could practice more if they wanted to, but as part of the package, they show up, they do the practice, they race the race, and man, hats off to those people, Ron. I don't know what I would do if I only had an hour to learn a track and then get out there and try not to murder everybody. That'd be a little rough for me. You're a better race car driver than I am, so what do you think you would be able to do with that?
Back in the autocross days, those unfamiliar with autocross, it's setting up a big course of cones out in a parking lot. You have a couple of course walks in the morning to try and learn it, and then you've got to rip around there. Now, doing that in a car is pretty tricky. Doing that in a shifter kart is even worse because you've got to nail down braking points, shift points. It is a pain in the hind end. Now, I say the fact that I, did that. I haven't been in a cart for about 3 years. I don't think now, in my my heightened age compared to when I was still young and dumb, running a shifter cart, I'm not sure if I'd be able to do that nowadays. But it is still really tricky. There are not a lot of racetracks on iRacing that I think I could efficiently learn in the span of an hour. Now, of course, perspective has changed going from a broadcaster side. Now, remember the first time I had to do a broadcast of a race at the Bend, the rather sad tapeworm that we have on iRacing right now. And it was a 4-hour-long race, I think a 6-hour-long broadcast, because we had to cover half an hour before all of the 1-hour qualifying session and then half-hour post-race show. It was a long, long show. And I was having to learn that track through that qualifying session, which was like trying to pick up antimatter with chopsticks. It was absolutely brutal. I will say that with confidence. But this track is certainly one of them that you can't really efficiently learn in 1 hour. You can know what turns do what, but in terms of trying to get the speed out of it all, it's pretty tricky to try and get all the juice out of that lemon with one squeeze.
It's truly one of the most impressive things I think I've discovered in iRacing is when I learned that people go to the SRG facility, learn the track, and race it that night on the stream, on the slow motion broadcasting stream. I would be a dumpster fire rolling down a college hill. That would be what you would get. Just ready to like hit 9 parked cars at the bottom and explode into flames. That would be the experience that I would provide you if that was me. But people do it, and it's very impressive. Going back to the NXT, yes, the F3s for SRG. It sounds like we'll be doing that, and so you better enjoy your slow motion broadcasts here with the F3s. But right now we are doing the F4s. And so let's take a look at the qualifying here. We have Damian Dietrich at the top here with a 148. And then, holy cow, is that time? He's 0.08 behind is Jacob Guyton. So he's 8/100ths behind, just right on his tail. And like I said about Mr. Guyton doesn't miss very far, and that has managed to put him second in the championship. Prene Kutneni in third here in qualifying. Stevie Ray in fourth, and there is Mr. Stasinski coming off the win from last week in fifth. It looks like a very tight tower here, doesn't it, Ron? We've got Mr. Navas Molina and Dan Clark. Dan Clark is plus 0.7, so he's right within a second there. And finishing out the top second here pretty much is Meyer and Eggert. So everybody within 1 second of 148, Damian Dietrich. That's a tight field, Ron.
Yeah, it is incredibly tight up at the front of the pack. One thing that I will say here, Jacob Guyton, despite showing that pace, not going to have the opportunity to improve on that lap time. I'm looking in sim. He's dropped out of the session due to a packet loss issue. So Jacob Guyton not here loaded into the sim right now. We've seen a couple of races there for the driver, the number 64 car, where he's been blinking in and out, getting abducted by a UFO, hitting 88 miles an hour and going back into Neolithic period. No matter what it has been, there's been some sort of connection issues for Guyton at several points throughout this season. Unfortunately, those are looking to bite him here in qualifying. Hopefully, he can rejoin the racetrack in time for the race a little bit later on here. So, as a couple of minutes to do it, iRacing can sometimes be forgiving with that. Other times they won't. iRacing and the iRacing gods are... They don't really think about what is the best thing to do. They usually think about what would be the funniest thing to do.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. The packet loss demon is real. It is designed to prevent unfair racing and just a bad user experience. Unfortunately, if you're on the receiving end of that little warning that comes up that says packet loss detected, that is about enough for your arteries to start to harden, and everything after that is just kind of dicey. I've watched enough slow motion broadcasts and heard the legend Ron Maunz describe people being abducted enough times to know that it is not unique and not uncommon. But, you know, it is a part of this game, unfortunately. Finishing out the field here, we've got Sarah Bvez in 11th, Ryan Chichichia in 12th, 13, Ken Glasser, Andre Ruiz, 14, Shane Chang in 15. I haven't heard much from Shane Chang this year. Walker Fultz in 16, Tyler Hagen, there's the man, racing the 99. He is in 17th. Rudy Samudio, Cy Nathan, and Ken Estep. Oof, that was a rough one right there out of Mr. Samudio. Took a little bit of the wall there and managed to find himself taking a quick ambulance back into the pit bay. And good for him. The damage, like we said, is off. It looks like Jose Navas Molina taking the scenic route outside the straight there. Tell me, Ron, a little bit about the boot. It turns out I had to do some research on this. I'm not as well versed in the America's racetracks as you are, but the boot hosted Formula One from 1961 to 1980.
Yeah, so Watkins Glen storied in the world of not just American motorsports, but global motorsports, period. Of course, Watkins Glen playing host to the Formula One World Championship in those years. The only reason why they really stopped is because, much like many other racetracks in the States around that point in time, the fans were just getting a little bit too rowdy. That's part of the reason why VIR, Virginia International Raceway, shut down from the 70s all the way up until 2000. I believe there was the story of the pit. I'm not sure if I remember this correctly. There's a giant pit on the infield at Watkins Glen, and the party-like atmosphere. It was, kind of the baby boomers coming around. It was basically every single track became Woodstock, but with race cars instead of joints, pretty much. And you found yourself in situations where the fans got a little bit rowdy. They once pushed a bus into this giant pit they had on the infield, and the higher-ups at Formula One at the time said, you know what, I think this may be time for us to go elsewhere. And, the United States Grand Prix kind of found itself with a bit of an identity crisis in the years after that. They had many races that they ran were briefly in Long Beach. They ran the original Formula One Las Vegas Grand Prix in the parking lot of the Caesars Palace Hotel, which it was so bad they actually kicked it down to post-original IndyCar split IndyCar. It was in the early days of kart when they ran there, but they also ran races in Phoenix, Detroit, Houston, ran a bunch of places until they finally landed in Indianapolis, where things were going well until the Indy tire fiasco in 2005. Then that race kind of went down the tubes, and then eventually they landed at Circuit of the Americas, where they've been racing every single year, with the exception of the pandemic year of 2020, since 2012. But this track is storied. You think about sports car racing in the U.S., you think about it here, but this track, it's old school and not a lot of room to run or hide, as Jose Navas proving as he headed his way through there, and Greg Meyer proving as he headed his way out of 9.
Oh, man, ring the bell, Greg Meyer with the Taco Bell machine. Unfortunately, handling that about as well as my body handled my return trip from Mexico this week. Ended up in the hospital for a few days. Not great. It looks like qualifying is over, and qualifying did not change a whole heck of a lot from the top here. We have Damian Dietrich, looks like will be our pole sitter on this one. So congratulations. We're going to get the graphic up on there in just a second here. The F4 League, brought to you, SRG Sim Racers Group out of San Jose, California. The developmental league here, the F4 is in a very, very good spot for them. It has become sort of a perfect transition. They start drivers out in a Formula Ford, which personality type of things between the Formula Ford and the Formula V. I personally like the Formula Ford, the FF 1600, and then you transition into the Formula 4 after you can prove that you can keep it on the track. Then you move up to the Formula 3. Like we said, we're probably going to be seeing a lot of the Indy next moving forward there. And they managed to put all of the Formula 4 races as well as the Formula 3 races, the Intermediate and Advanced League, on slow motion broadcasting. So we cannot thank them enough. They have kept us in business here, and it is excellent to be able to say you race in a league that is broadcast on YouTube. Here we go. Damien Dietrich is our pole sitter. Jacob Guyton, the 64, is in second place there. Next to him, Stevie Ray will be next to Pranay Ketaneni. Jose Navas Molina, Stasinski in row 3. Meyer, Clark, row 4. Eggert, Ryback. And then Vase and Chia will be finishing out that row there. Ken Glasser will be next to Andre Ruiz in 13 and 14. Shane Chang, Walker Fultz. Tyler Higgins next to Rudy Samudio. Cy Nathan and Ken Estep will be finishing out the 19 and 20 spot. And I believe that is the entirety of the grid there. We are getting right down to it here in Watkins Glen, Upper New York in the Finger Lake regions. And this is going to be a great race. I'm actually looking forward to this quite a bit. Like you said, this is old school. We've got a little bit of a wind, 6 miles an hour. We've got 81% humidity. The temperature is just balmy. 71 degrees, 81 track temp. The cars are getting on the grid here. It looks like the last car has gridded up, and we're going to see some lights here very shortly as you can hear the engines start to rev. Here we go. 5 lights. Lights out, drop the clutch. We are racing in New York, and it is going to be Guyton with an excellent draw. Guyton got an excellent shot out the front, and he takes first place away from Dietrich. Inside comes Stevie Ray, though. Stevie Ray managed to get room. Dietrich coming around the outside. Guyton will lead them into the corner. We've got Stevie Ray and Pranay Ketaneni side by side in third and fourth right there. Is there going to be a disaster? No, they're actually leaving each other excellent room there, and it looks like Guyton will take the first, second, and third corner, managing to at least give himself a little bit of breathing room. But holy cow, we are like 3-4 wide here, Ron.
Yeah, this is getting really dicey in that side-by-side racing between Dietrich and Guyton as they headed their way on the back straightaway. Dietrich gonna hold on to the race leader. Trouble behind. That's Pranay Ketaneni spun around. Jose Navas involved. Multiple drivers spearing off the track as they headed their way out of the bus stop.
Oh my goodness, Samudio is through. Cy Nathan past Tyler Hagan. Glasser went past Stasinski on this one. I'm not sure where Navas Molina is on this now. He's down to 18th. Ketaneni's in 20th. Stasinski's down to 12th. Holy cow, that got really dicey. Dan Clark is up to 6th here and doing quite well. Eggert in 5th, and Greg Meyer in the Taco Bell machine has managed to move his way up to 4th place. But we are not done. We are side by side here in all sorts of places. We've got battles going on in darn near every turn right now. And we're on board looking right there with Bob Eggert. Behind him, you've got Sarah Vase in a knife fight with Chia. Ryback is in the mix there. It looks like Dietrich is still... Oh! And then we lost... Who was that? Was that Chia? Chia is down. Chia is down. That is not good, and he will be going to the back of the pack there. There we have a picture of Dietrich with Guyton, like, just right on his exhaust pipe. And Guyton will be going to the move here. Guyton's got the inside line, and it looks like Guyton will be able to make this. Excellent pass there by Guyton, and he manages to hang it on, but oh boy, Dietrich is not done quite yet. Now Dietrich has got the inside line and will have the good run there. Dietrich takes it right back. This is drafting. This is F4 racing at its finest, and these two drivers are doing great, but Stevie Ray has got them in the sights with a great show here. Look at these two side by side going up. Oh, is there contact there, Ron? I don't know.
I think it nearly was, as Stevie, ever the opportunist, trying to get a move done there as he headed his way through that section. Dietrich getting very flirtatious with the back end of that number 64 car there of Jacob Guyton as they head their way out of the inner loop. Stevie dropping back a little bit, gonna let these two drivers play just a little bit, gonna play ball for now, but I would not be shocked if Stevie tries to get a move done here very, very soon after Brian Stasinski got the first win for the Weekend Warriors crew here in these F4s a couple of days ago, just 1 week ago here this season. This is going to get really dicey for Stevie. He's laying back as he does not have a good feeling about this, and neither do I. Damian Dietrich trying to find any single space out there on the racetrack. If he can't find a space, he's going to make a space. Dietrich up into the lead again.
I think what you're seeing here is that Guyton is getting sick of this. Guyton is starting to crowd Dietrich a little bit, and you're seeing some pressure moves here where you're just finding that space and you're saying, I have given you space for 6 corners now. I'm not giving you space anymore, and you're going to crowd them to the outside, make them take a worse line. But honestly, the battle between Dietrich and Guyton, as great as it is, has managed to suck Stevie Ray right into this conversation and keep Greg Meyer as well right into it. So Greg Meyer is now simply 1 second back and has caught the draft of the leaders. Dan Clark's a little bit further back, 1.5 seconds back from Meyer, but you watch Meyer start to close these guys in the more that they fight. Meyer gets a chance to get that draft off of Stevie Ray, then he might be able to stay in here. I'm not sure if he's got the pace, but here we go again. Guyton and Dietrich are on each other like they cannot get away from each other, and Stevie Ray is taking his time. You have to wonder at some point, Ron, is tire wear going to be an issue with this kind of battling?
I'm not sure if it is going to be here in these F4s. The track temperature is certainly playing ball with this fight. Very low compared to some of the other races we have seen so far here this season. 81 Fahrenheit. That is darn near perfect for racing conditions. These drivers can lean on the tires just a little bit, and you can see it hasn't gone up at all. The one worry I would have is the humidity, but that's not for the tires. It's for the drivers. Anything above about 70 degrees for the ambient temperature and anything above 50% humidity, I start to boil there. So that is not ideal. But I will say, as this battling is still hot between Damian Dietrich and Jacob Guyton, Stevie Ray still right there within striking distance, and Greg Meyer running there in 4th as well. Meyer, a series veteran here in these F4 cars, currently up 3 spots from where he started in this race. Let us see how this Taco Bell car can worm his way through the field.
Yeah, some of the comments on YouTube, like we said, the slow motion broadcast being broadcast on YouTube. Michelle Lynn of Dulldime Racing here, Michelle, a veteran to race cars, says that Stevie will be driving a smart race. He's not going to battle it until he needs to. And I think that she is right on. I think that you're watching Stevie Ray here wait for somebody to make a mistake. You're watching him, like Guyton had a bad exit on that one, and now Ray is right there, but you're not going to see Stevie Ray make a really bad move or a bad decision feeling like he has to pass in a location that he probably shouldn't, right? He's just going to continue to move his way along and put pressure on Jacob Guyton. Like right there, he could have moved into an open space here and then maybe made a questionable move, but no, he's going to bide his time here. Guyton and Dietrich are taking very different lines through some of these things, and you're seeing corners go wider than they normally would. I know that Meyer had a rough one about half a lap ago here, but like I said, Meyer is vacillating between 1.3 and like 0.7. So sometimes he's catching the draft and sometimes he's not. He really, really needs to get this within 0.8 and just live there. That's what he wants to do. And then all of a sudden he'll be into the back of Stevie Ray, and then he can start to make moves. And then Stevie Ray's really going to have some difficult situations to deal with here. But right now, I think the battling has calmed down a little bit. I think Mr. Guyton is just waiting a little bit and letting the tires cool down. Jacob Guyton, a veteran racer, he understands that he does not want to overheat those tires early on in this race and then not be able to cool them down. So I think that you're going to see a little bit. Oh, Samudio has crashed. It looks like in the back there. Tough break for him. Rudy Samudio, a veteran of slow motion broadcasting, and it looks like he's having a bit of a tough day there. There's Mr. Samudio, and there's the replay. We're going to catch him. Yep, and just lost it in the corner there, unfortunately. Like you said, Ron, you know, this is an old school track, and it's got old school driving, and that kind of stuff happens. Oh, there's Walker Fultz. Oh, took the nose in as well. Oh, there we.
Oh.
Oh. One of the unforgivables in the Sim Racers group is the bad re-entry, Ron. Nothing gets sent to the principal's office faster than a student with a bad re-entry. Oh, I don't know, Ron. I think we might have to take another look at that one. I think that one's on Ketneni. I think he got into the back at E-step there.
Yeah, I think Ketneni went for a dive that wasn't going to work. The problem is getting a move done heading off into the bus stop. It can work. It can work in the same universe as liquidating all your assets, buying nothing but scratch-off lottery tickets, and coming out on the other side a millionaire. It doesn't usually work, especially with that inside curb there. Changed a couple of seasons ago here on iRacing to bring this track into a newer, updated form. They changed that curb in real life. They've changed it in sim. And F4 cars, just open wheelers, period, and curbs usually go together like water and sodium. It's usually explosive when those two meet. But especially through there, the curbs, they are all or nothing. You either have to smash into them and destroy your suspension and probably give yourself back pain for the rest of your life, or you can't even touch them with a 10-foot pole. There are two things that you can do there with those curves. As I will say, Damian Dietrich has run into trouble up at the front. He's lost out on second and may lose out on a little bit more. Here we go. So Jacob Guyton was running in P2. Dietrich was in the race lead. Overcooked it, heading down to turn number 9, had a sideways moment, and that's going to drop him down to third. Nearly lost out on the podium altogether as Greg Meyer thought about getting the move done, as Stevie Ray and Jacob Guyton now starting to squabble up here side by side through the S's onto the backstretch.
Stevie Ray, here we go. Stevie Ray has waited for his moment, and there it happened. Jacob Guyton is not going to let him take this easily, though. Stevie Ray is fully in first place right now. It looks like Meyer is all over Dietrich here, but Stevie Ray is running a great race. Now it's going to be the battle between those two, because there is a bit of a separation now. Dietrich is 1.2 back. Dietrich may be seeing a little red mist here. Had a great save, like our producer Mike Braun said there. That, I believe, was the full both feet to the floor type of save, where you have that magical ability in an open wheel race car like this to just put the full lock on it and it straightens out. Great save, managed to stay in third place. Meyer is not going anywhere. Meyer is 0.4 behind, and he smells a podium. It's been a while since we've had Greg Meyer in the Taco Bell machine be on a podium, but I think he can taste the tacos up there. Tacos and champagne. I'm not sure if that's the combination he's looking for, but I'm sure he'll take it. Yeah. We have Jacob Guyton, who is 0.2 behind. I don't think Jacob Guyton has spent more than 0.3 behind first place this entire race if he wasn't in first place. So it looks like we are halfway through here. Like you said, you don't believe that tire wear is going to be a bit of an issue, but these guys are throwing this car around quite a bit. An impressive level of control, though, honestly, for on display here from the Sim Racers group. These guys have raced a very clean race. Pranay Ketneni looks like has gone off the track there and has come back on. We're here with Tyler Hagen, and yep, Tyler lost it right there. Tyler's gonna stop, let cars go around him, and that's why Ketneni went off, I believe, there. Oh, no. Ooh, Tyler just about had to go send himself to his own office, I think. That would be rough. Boy, nobody wants to do that less than him. Here we have Guyton and Stevie Ray back there again, and same story up front here, Ron. Just looks like it's going to be like this. It's a 20-minute time race, Ron, and when 20 minutes comes, they're going to throw out checkered. Do you think we're going to see a lot of lead changes before then?
Yeah, I think we are probably still in the midst of it right now. As much as these top 4 drivers have broken up more into a 2-2 fight, you can see how quickly the gaps can fluctuate. And if Damian Dietrich can get a whiff of a draft in a windstorm, I think he'll be able to get involved in this battle once more. And with 8 minutes, left to go here in this race. I think at the very least, Stevie Ray and Jacob Guyton are going to squabble. We talk about the speed that Jacob Guyton has here in this championship. Was one of the quickest drivers last season. Things didn't really work out for him in the championship. Has been one of the quickest drivers so far this season, and right now yet to score a race win. I think he's hungry. He's looking for it. You know that he's going to try and pounce. Damian Dietrich looking to continue on that streak of dominance that he's been at so far here this season. 3 wins in the first 5 races, looking for a little bit more as he tries to capture the championship here this season. And again, talking about Greg Meyer there in P4, I made the slight bit of wordplay a little bit earlier on, talking about how we'll see, let us see how the Taco Bell machine does as he worms his way through the field right now. I'll tell you what, to make it a bit more blunt, that Taco Bell car has the runs.
No points ordered for that one, Ron. It looks like Eggert has crashed in the back. I'm not sure if we'll be able to catch a replay on that one. Here we go. Eggert, who's been having a great race. Not sure what happened here. Yep. Same story, same corner. That is a tough one. It is.
Turn 9 sucks.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's off camber a little bit, and it's just a long haul for those tires to stay on the limit right there. And you've seen more than a few racers just not be able to do it. Stevie Ray's driving a great race here, but you look at this, and people in the chat were talking about the number 3 and 4 car working together to bring back into the pack, and it looks like Dietrich has kind of left Meyer. So Meyer's now back 1.4 from Dietrich, so he's a second and a half back, but Dietrich is now right on top of Guyton, 0.2 here, and well within a good draft. So you're going to see this 3-car train here maybe pull away a little bit from Meyer. They have been driving like this, which is going to do it. But as soon as they start fighting, then Meyer will be back in the picture again. Let's give some love to the mid-pack here and take a look. Dan Clark, who is typically an endurance racer, has come out here tonight. And Dan has managed to race a nice, tidy 5th and looks very good in doing it. So good on Dan Clark for coming out here and punching like typically above his weight class in the F4s. More of an endurance GT type of racer, but 5th place is nothing to sneeze at, especially since the top 4 have been such a good show. Ryback and Vase in 6th and 7th. Stasinski, coming off a win, is back in 8th. So that's him there in the green and blue. Eggert was running much higher and then unfortunately lost it. Novice Molina had an incident at the front. Oh, Guyton! Something's going on with Jacob Guyton here. Did Meyer get ahead of Guyton? I think we lost. Jacob Guyton has disconnected. Oh, no. Ron, they abducted Jacob Guyton.
The UFOs are back.
This is a worst case scenario. This is unfortunate. This is exactly what we didn't want to see, and I feel awful for the man, but he is gone. And so he is off the board. Well, he's in 16th, but he's officially out right now unless he manages to port his way back into the car. It looks to be... It's still a 3-car race. Meyer has managed to come back into this, and he is 0.8 behind, so he is catching the draft off of Dietrich. I was talking a little bit about the lower part of the field there. Kettenenny had a bit of a rough race. Ruiz and Chang in 10th and 11th. Walker Fultz, Ryan Chichachia, unfortunately, in 14th. I wish I was able to give a little bit more love to that one, but he had a tough first lap, I believe. And Tyler Hagen also experiencing some difficulty. Yeah.
I have a story to share here real quick
please
about
do.
Ryan Chia, the Chia coming from our old pal here at Slow Motion Broadcasting, Mr. J.R. Gregory. When he coined that term, it was an F4 race at Monza a couple of seasons ago. Here's some drama going on with Chia. It's heading off through that no good, terrible, very bad turn number 9. Unfortunately, going to spin on exit. Thankfully, no damage here in this series. So just like that, car is going to get repaired, but still turn number 9, absolutely brutal there. But getting back to the story, I was in the production truck when J.R. Gregory said that ch-ch-ch-chia line, and I darn near burst a blood vessel in my eye laughing so hard.
That's it's kind of an SMB legend at this point. Here we're going to watch a replay here with Dietrich, who has managed to pull himself into this race with eyes on Stevie Ray, and down the straight just makes it happen with the draft. Stevie Ray wisely lets it happen at the very end rather than force an uncomfortable situation. Stevie Ray is going to see if he can keep tabs on him, but Dietrich is going to be tough to catch here. I think Stevie Ray might be more worried at this point. Well, he's right there. I take it back. I was going to say he's going to be more worried about Meyer, but look at, a lockup on a Dietrich. And there you have it. Stevie Ray is just racing a solid race here. And now you have Meyer right on the tail. Look at that. That lockup happened, and Stevie Ray said, "Thank you very much, sir. I will take that first place, and I will just move right on." Same corner. There it is. What is that? 3? Is that corner 3 that we're seeing that at?
It's turn number. Yeah, that was probably incident number 3 through turn number 9. And once again, it's a driver swapping sides like they're flipping burgers. The car just deciding to go loose through there. Talked about the off-kilter nature as you head your way through turn number 9. It is just a disgusting turn to try and nail down lap after lap. It is absolutely brutal. But I will say here, James, we're at the white flag now. One more lap of racing action, I believe, here at Watkins Glen, and Greg Meyer trying to attack on Stevie Ray side by side, heading off into the bus stop, and Stevie going to hold on to that position. They're heading their way off into the outer loop. The carousel in trouble there for Meyer.
We have Meyer. Meyer is off. That's contact. We're gonna have to take another look at that. And Meyer loses the whole tail end of that thing. Meyer should have enough time to be able to. Oh no, the re-entry cost him there. Meyer is off the podium. We'll have to take another look. And that's on Dietrich. That's on Dietrich. That one is going to take some stewarding, but let's just talk about Stevie Ray for a second here. Stevie Ray is going to be coming around. He's got about 3 more turns. He's got 2 seconds to Dietrich, who probably feels like his tail is between his legs right now and should. Stevie Ray, though, with an excellent drive, front to back, made the right decisions, pushed it when he had to, didn't push it when he didn't have to, ran a clean race. And look at where he is. Just like Michelle said, he's not going to fight if he doesn't have to. He will wait until these things come to him, and he will take advantage of it. That is veteran racing right there. And that is going to be it for Stevie Ray. Checker flag. Stevie Ray, winner. Watkins Glen and the boot. Damian Dietrich will come in second. Dan Clark in third place. Dan Clark. I'm so glad that we went back and looked at Dan when he was in 5th. Third place, Ryback 4th. Vase 5th. Eggert manages to pull his way back into 6th. Meyer, unfortunately, 7th. Novice Molina 8th. Chang 9th. Kettenany rounds out your top 10. Then we have Ruiz, Glasser, Fultz, Nathan. Stasinski just went out for some reason. Not real sure what happened there. Cy Nathan, Tyler Hagan in 15th, Rudy Samudio, Ken Estep, Ryan Chia. Here is Stasinski. We're going to see what happens at the end here. Not real. Oh, my God. That's a rage quit. That's what that is, Ron. He just threw his computer out a window. That's unfortunate. But there we go. And then, unfortunately, 18 is Ryan Chia. What do you think about that one, Ron? Stevie Ray followed, and then the race came to him, and he said, all right, now's my time.
I'll tell you what, and this is honest. First Weekend Warriors broadcast I ever did, which was around about my 3rd show overall, way back in the spring of 2023. I don't think I've ever gotten the opportunity to cover Stevie winning a race, certainly winning it overall. So bravo to Stevie. What a drive for him there in that 11, was showing some grit and tenacity throughout this race and gets the victory. Certainly a little bit of chaos going on around him right there towards the end. I thought that Greg Meyer was going to be able to get it done. Certainly put on a good drive throughout this race. Unfortunate that he only gets P7 out of it all, but Meyer is a driver that we've really been able to see grow into his wings here this season. So props where props are most certainly due to that driver of the number 8 machine just not getting the result at the end of the day. But as for Stevie, it is victory for the second week in a row for a Weekend Warriors driver. It was Brian Zazinski, Formula V Weekend Warriors winner. And now it's Stevie Ray, Mr. Weekend Warriors himself, bagging the checkered flag. What a way to get it done here at Watkins Glen.
And I gotta say, Dan Clark in third place, the best showing I've seen from Dan Clark in as long as I can remember. Dan has been one of those people in SRG that has just been a mainstay. Really promoted the Endurance League. Doesn't do these races all the time, and so to have him come out and bag a third place is super impressive. So congratulations there, Mr. Dietrich in second. He has put forth a number of great performances this year. Stevie, that's not how it's done. We're going to have to work on that. One of the traditions of SRG racing is to do the donuts, and Stevie just decided instead to take a missile into the wall. Unfortunately, that is, we're going to work on that, all right? You're a great dude, but maybe donuts are not your thing right now. We're going to get you some remedial lessons on those. Here's your top board here. These are the race results. Like I said, Stevie Ray winning it with the 11 vehicle. Dietrich finishes after an unfortunate incident that's probably going to cost him a little bit. In second place, Dan Clark in third. There's your podium. Ryback, Vase, Eggert, Meyer, Navas, Molina, Chang, Ketteneni, your top 10. Ruiz, Glasser, Foltz, Nathan, Hagen, Samudio, E-Step, and Chia, and we had a couple other people on the board here, Stasinski and Jacob Guyton. We forgot to talk about Jacob Guyton, who had a great race, Ron. Jacob Guyton was in this conversation the entire time, and then, as you like to say, was abducted by aliens instead of being able to take a spot more than likely on the podium. We're going to get some interviews going on here. We should be able to see some people in the waiting room here. And we are joined, we're going to be joined by the only guy in the waiting room here pretty quickly, and it's going to be our podium champagne drinker, Stevie Ray. So, Mr. Braun, whenever you are ready to bring in Stevie Ray. Ron, would you like to talk to Mr. Ray? I know you have a long history with him. I will give you the honors.
Yeah, it's been a little time since I had a chat with Stevie Ray, so we'll drag him off into the broadcast booth and have a chat with him after a victory here in this race. Stevie, welcome into the booth. Congratulations on the win. I said this a few moments ago. It's been a bit of a rare occurrence in which I've gotten the opportunity to cover you grabbing a victory. Certainly one overall, so well done, man. How was it out there?
Yeah, thanks. That was a lot of fun. I put in some practice this week. I made an embarrassment of myself last week changing the wrong tires, but I had to try to do something. Yeah, and it's definitely been a long time since I've had a podium, so feels good. I was just hoping. I saw Greg go off behind me in the bus stop, I think it was, and I was just like hoping and praying that I didn't have anything to do with that. So, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, works out very, very well for you here in this race. Having some fun, getting a good result out of it all here as well. Yeah, I'm thinking back to just a couple of weeks ago here on Slow Motion Broadcasting for the latest 49th Weekend Warriors runoffs, when we were running around this track, had the Formula Vs and the Formula 4s sharing the track at the same time. I don't remember you being a part of that race. I was going to say that was the reason why you took to this combination like a duck to water and had some good speed. Were you maybe getting some words in from those drivers who were participating in that event?
Maybe a little bit. I won't divulge all my secrets, but yeah, I was out of town that weekend. I had a trip planned to Denver to go see my boys, and that was like a month after I retired or something. So I couldn't make that runoffs, but that was a good one too. But yeah, it was definitely. I had some help in the background that we won't discuss. So and thanks to my wife, you know.
Yeah, we'll just say it's some sort of secret committee that was there helping you out throughout this race.
Yeah. My wife let me practice a little bit. That's what it was.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's all that matters. Hey, practice makes perfect. I've read that in a fortune cookie before. But Stevie, I want to ask you about this F4 car, because James and I were talking a little bit earlier on in this broadcast about how different of a dynamic it is running in this car for both yourself as well as Brian Szynski, longtime Formula V racer, both in the sim and in real life. How tricky it is to try and transition into these F4 cars, which may not have a boatload of downforce, but still have some downforce to them. How has it been just trying to learn the ropes with these F4 cars?
Yeah, it took me a while, definitely. Learning to drive it just a little bit different and to kind of trust the car more in the corners and stuff. You don't have to slow down quite as much and use a little bit of the aero. So it's a little faster than what we have in the Weekend Warriors, but a little bit of downforce. And the old man can adjust a little bit once in a while. But yeah, they're a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it.
And we could say maybe it's an old dog learning new tricks here in this series.
Yeah, it takes a little while, but we can get there once in a while.
Amen. There we go. That's what matters. I will say, though, Stevie, next time out here in this championship in 1 week's time, we're going to be heading to the track that we saw the latest round of the Weekend Warriors Summer Shootout Series this past weekend with the Spec Racer Fords. Going to be heading off to VIR in 1 week's time. That's a track that has been host to many a race in Weekend Warriors and Ray Esports history. So looking forward to that one next time out.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. Hadn't been on there for a while till last week and put some time in on it. And that is definitely a technical track, a driver's track. And that's why the SCCA had their championships there for so many years and just a couple of years ago. So yeah, that one will separate the men from the boys a little bit, but it'll be a lot of fun too.
Yeah, certainly going to be a crazy race, especially with that back straightaway. My, oh my, will that be entertaining. But Stevie, thank you for joining us here in the booth. And before we let you go, we'll let you give any thank yous or shout outs.
Yeah, I got to thank Jason, the captain, for letting me come in and enjoy his leagues a little bit once in a while. Appreciate it. He's got a great group. As you know, I got to visit his place a few weeks ago, the last week of the last season. So that was awesome to meet him face to face and a lot of the guys. So huge shout out to SRG, Jason, Cotcher, and all the guys there.
Yeah, thank you, Stevie, for joining us here in the broadcast booth. Well done on the race win, and we'll probably see you out there on the racetrack this upcoming weekend for the Ray Esports Summer Series with the Formula V's running at Tsukuba. But we will, for a fact, see you next time out here in this series when the championship rocks up to VIR. Stevie, thank you for joining us, and happy to go enjoy this win.
All right, guys, take care. Have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you very
Congratulations.
much. Congratulations. That right there was Stevie Ray. James, I'll pass the mic off to you now.
Excellent. Well, we are going to get our next person into the booth here, and I believe that is probably going to be Tyler Hagen. Mr. Hagen, can you hear us?
I got you guys loud and clear.
Excellent. Well, it was a bit of a rough show out there for
we
you.
Are not talking about my race. My race is not. I came here.
Not subject for conversation.
No,
Understood.
sir. I came here to shout out my boy Daniel Clark.
Let's talk about Dan Clark here. Dan Clark managed to pull off a fifth. We highlighted him. I wanted to make a highlight when I saw that he was in fifth place. He finished third when he was in fifth. He got third to finish, but he was in fifth, and I saw him in fifth. I was like, holy cow, Dan Clark, a veteran of GT racing, promoting the endurance league for the Sim Racers group, typically doesn't come out here, hasn't had like a lot of F4 under his belt, ran a fantastic race, and then all of a sudden at the end, after all the fighting is done, he's on the podium. I couldn't believe it. So, like, how proud were you of Mr. Clark?
I mean, I can't even describe how proud of that boy I am. The voice chat, because we're on voice chat, half of us, during the race. And as soon as we all realized where Dan Clark finished, the voice chat went absolutely nuts. It was great. Then I had to tell him that Dan can't hear you guys because Dan goes into his own little zone when he goes racing. But I have watched Dan since his very first days in iRacing, and I've given him advice, and he's helped me immensely on the endurance team. He and I run almost every endurance race together in the LMP2. We're running this weekend at Road America. Road America? I think so. Yeah, Road America in the P2 for 6 hours. It's gonna be great. And he has got to be so high right now. It's unbelievable. He's like cloud 9, not even close. He's like cloud 2000.
If he didn't have a bad knee, I'd be worried about him like running around the apartment too fast. I think that the best part about Dan's race was that he very quietly sat in between the pack of 4 at the front that were fighting while Mr. Guyton was still there, and then ahead of the mid pack. And he just raced a solid race. He just really didn't have a lot of problems to speak of, and didn't have a lot of draft that he was taking advantage of. Just raced right in the middle and put lap after lap. I wonder what it is about Watkins Glen. I wonder if the endurance racing is one of those things where he just knows this track so incredibly well from running GT cars just over and over and over for hours and hours and hours, that this is just one of those tracks where he just felt like he could just do work and relax and be good. But I'm glad to hear that the voice chat was supporting him, because Dan has given a lot for this particular community, and I know that people would really love to see him succeed. So that is awesome, Mr. Hagen.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for coming in here. You got any? I would say, do you have anyone to shout out? But I guess the question is, did Dan have anyone to shout out to?
I mean, I gotta say that we gotta shout out his wife Morgan for being
There you
Dan's
go.
rock, you know, and the entire SRG endurance team, and of course, the broadcast team at SMB. Like you guys make us look so good every week, and I know Dan appreciates you as well.
Well, we are.
I just
Unfortunately,
watched
producer Mike Braun has got you in a loop, just losing it.
I
Turn
love you,
9.
Mike. Thank you so much, Mike. It's so great to see it.
I'm sure you're going to get like a letter bomb as a thank you pretty soon here. Thank you very much, Mr. Hagen, for joining us, and be sure to give our congratulations to Dan Clark on behalf of the SMB studio here. That was a fantastic performance, and we couldn't be happier for him here. Well, it sounds like we're in second place for the happiest, because the voice chat took first on that one. So thank you very much, Tyler.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jimmy.
All right, we got one person left here, and I will hand this one to you, Ron. This will be Ryan Chia is in the waiting booth.
Yeah, and that it is Ryan Chia now joining us here in the broadcast booth. Ryan, welcome in. It was a good race for you, and I think the only hiccup was trouble heading off through turn number 9, which, if it makes it feel any better, that turn is my version of hell on earth. If given the choice between going through that turn or having to be on hold with a cable company for 5 hours, I would pick the hold music for 5 hours every single day of the week. So how was
That's
it?
how it feels. It feels like that today. Yeah. It was good. Other than that, that corner is the bane of my existence. I don't know why I can't get that one right. But I had a good scrap with Ken Glasser, and just like, yeah, at some point I just kind of lost concentration. I just started scoreboard watching.
Touche. I'll tell you, there's actually a good little story here. This was right towards the end of my karting career. I remember on one of the runs I was doing at an autocross event, midway through the run, and running a shifter kart at an autocross is very busy, having to go through a 6-speed gearbox, brakes on all 4 wheels. It's a very in-it experience. I remember thinking at one point, I wonder what I can say to the folks in the timing truck so I can get a rerun, because I think there's a cone that was down when it was meant to be up, and I want to try and spin it off into an excuse. Ended up being my fastest run of the day, so I guess sometimes that mental wandering can work out here. But I do want to ask you about this track here at Watkins Glen. We were talking about it a lot throughout this broadcast, how this track, it's an old school track, has an old school vibe, and that old school sense of walking down a tightrope where one small mistake can be your downfall.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm the perfect one to ask about that. Yeah, the track is just lined with walls on either side, and if you hit the brakes at the wrong time, let go of them the wrong way, or get on the gas at the wrong way, like at the wrong moment, you're either understeering or oversteering into a wall.
Yeah, so
So-
certainly a tough track here to manage so far here in this race. But I do want to ask you, next time out, we're going to be running at VIR, another challenging track, but thankfully the walls are a little bit farther pushed back. I believe we have been there before here in this F4 championship many moons ago. So have you got some experience running around VIR? And if so, what are your thoughts heading there?
I enjoy VIR a lot, especially when we do our rookie races. I think the last time we were doing F4, it was actually a lot of fun, especially trying to rocket up to roller coaster. So
And certainly looking forward to seeing what that race may have in store in 1 week's time. That's going to be a wild one, especially with that back straightaway in the game of drafting chicken that will go down there. I think I coined that phrase this past Sunday. But Ryan, before we let you go and celebrate this run and celebrate the fact you won't have to deal with turn number 9 at Watkins Glen in quite some time, we'll let you give any thank yous or shout outs.
thank you to SRG. Shout out to Dan Clark and the rest of the podium. Sorry, Greg. I saw that at the last moment. But yeah, thanks, guys.
And thank you very much for joining us here in the broadcast booth, Ryan. And we will see you in 1 week's time when the series heads off to VIR.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. That right there was Ryan Chia. And folks, we have a lot of action coming up here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. SKR Sim Racing will be part 1 of a 2-part doubleheader tomorrow night as the SRG F3 Championship will be heading off to Hungaroring. The Ray Esports Summer Shootout Series will be in the Formula V's at Tsukuba. That'll be on Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Quick little notice that Ray Esports Summer Series broadcast on Tuesday. That is a red herring. That is not happening here. However, you can stay tuned for all the Ray Esports stuff on Sunday nights here, Sunday afternoon, I should say, here on SMB. Of course, next Tuesday, you'll be able to see the 4th round of the American Muscle Series. That'll be at Rudskogen. Very fun broadcast we had earlier on tonight here at Naval Base Coronado, which was part of the reason why I came into the booth right as my esteemed colleague was doing the show open here. And of course, next week, you'll be able to see the Sim Racers Group F4 Championship at VIR. A lot of great racing action to look forward to here on SMB. Gives you a good reason to subscribe. But James, we had one heck of a race here at Watkins Glen. We knew that it was going to be a little bit stressy here tonight, and stressy it certainly was.
Yes, certainly. We had a very infamous corner that took out a number of people. I want to say that the corner took them out because it really wasn't a lot of like car into car type of violence. It was track versus car type of violence. But ultimately, this was some of the best racing that I'd seen out of SRG in quite some time. One unfortunate incident kind of ruined the podium a little bit there. That was tough, but honestly, you saw side-by-side racing for probably 15 straight minutes. The battles between Guyton and Dietrich and Stevie Ray and Greg Meyer in there, just 4 cars that were fighting and fighting and fighting. And then at the end, Dan Clark managing to come in there. But what a great performance we saw tonight. So this has been a broadcast of the Slow Motion Broadcasting Company and the Sim Racers Group out of San Jose, California. This is the F4 Intermediate League. So thank you all very, very much for joining us. On behalf of my colleague, the legend, Racing Ron Maunz, and producer Mike Braun in the truck, I am James McDonald, and I'm wishing you happy hairpins and clear straights.